How long would it take before someone noticed you were missing? An hour? A day? Maybe even longer? It's an unsettling thought, but for millions of older adults living alone, it's a reality. You wake up, go about your day, sit in your favorite chair, and watch the hours pass. The phone stays silent. The house feels still. You tell yourself you enjoy the peace, the independence, but deep down, there's a thought you try to ignore. If something happened to me, who would know? Maybe you've had a close call before, a stumble that almost turned into a fall, a moment of confusion with your medication, or a call from someone asking for money, making you wonder if they were really who they claimed to be. At first, these moments seem small, but over time, they add up. And one day, they could change everything. Living alone is supposed to mean freedom, but what happens when that freedom turns into uncertainty? When each step up the stairs feels just a little less steady? When a knock at the door makes you hesitate? When the silence starts to feel heavier than before? At Elderly Wisdom Story, we believe that independence doesn't mean being alone. It means having the wisdom, knowledge, and support to live on your own without fear. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. We're going to uncover 5 hidden dangers of living alone, risks that often go unnoticed until it's too late. More importantly, we'll share life-saving lessons that will help you stay safe, secure, and in control of your future. Because your life, your health, and your well-being matter. So stay with me. What we're about to discuss could save your life or the life of someone you love. And if you find these insights valuable, take a moment to like and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story, not just for yourself, but to help more people get the wisdom they need to live safely and independently. Now, let's start with something that affects more people than you might think, the silent, hidden threat of isolation. Danger number 1, the silent threat of isolation, more dangerous than you think. When was the last time you heard your own voice out loud? Not just a simple thank you at the grocery store. Not a polite "I'm fine" when someone asks how you are, but a real conversation. One that made you laugh, made you think, made you feel connected. For millions of older adults, that moment is becoming harder to remember. At first, the quiet feels peaceful. No obligations, no rushing, no interruptions. But then the days start blending together. The phone rings less often. The mail stays unopened a little longer. And somewhere in the silence, an unsettling question creeps in. If something happened to me, how long would it take before someone noticed? Margaret, 76, never thought much about loneliness. She had always been independent. After her husband passed, she kept busy, reading, watching TV, tending to her home. She told herself she was fine. Then one morning, she went to make coffee and stood in the kitchen for a full minute before remembering why she was there. Later that day, she missed a doctor's appointment, not because she forgot the time, but because she forgot what day it was. She thought it was just aging. But what she didn't realize was that she wasn't just lacking activity, she was lacking connection. This is how isolation sneaks up. It doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion, like forgetfulness, like feeling less like yourself. Science backs this up. Studies show that loneliness increases the risk of dementia by 50%, weakens the immune system, and is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's what's even more important to know. It doesn't have to be this way. Margaret didn't need a major life change. She just needed small steps. She started calling her sister every morning just for 5 minutes. She joined a library group just once a month, but it gave her something to look forward to. And she asked a neighbor to take short walks with her twice a week. And little by little, the heaviness lifted. So let's make this personal. Right now, as you're listening, think of one person you haven't talked to in a while. Someone you miss, even if you don't always say it. Now, imagine their face, hear their voice, remember the last time you really connected. Here's your challenge. Reach out. Call them. Write them a letter. Step outside and say hello to a neighbor. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be something. Because isolation isn't just an inconvenience, it's a danger. And the best way to fight it is by choosing connection, one small step at a time. And speaking of hidden dangers, there's one that can change everything in an instant, a fall. One misstep, one moment, and everything you've worked for can be taken away. But don't worry, I'll show you exactly how to prevent it. Danger number 2, the overlooked risk of falls, the injury that changes everything. It happens in an instant. One moment, you're stepping out of the shower, reaching for something on a shelf, or walking down the hall. The next, your foot catches on something. Your body tilts. Your hands reach out, desperate for balance. But there's nothing to grab onto, and suddenly you're on the floor. The shock of it hits first. Then the pain. Then the realization, can I get up? Where's my phone? How long will I have to wait before someone finds me? This is the terrifying reality for millions of older adults. Falls aren't just accidents. They're one of the biggest threats to senior independence. In fact, 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls each year, and for many, it's a turning point they never fully recover from. Tom, 82, never thought he was at risk. He had always been strong, steady on his feet. But one morning, as he stepped into the bathroom, his foot slipped on the tile. The next thing he knew, he was on the ground. The pain in his hip was unbearable. His phone? In the other room. No one was coming by that day. Hours passed before help arrived. By the time he made it to the hospital, it was too late to avoid surgery. Rehab was long. Recovery was slow. And even when his bones healed, something else had broken. His confidence. That's what so many people don't realize. Falls don't just cause injuries. They steal your sense of security. They turn familiar spaces into danger zones. And suddenly every step feels uncertain. But here's the truth, most falls can be prevented. And preventing them isn't about giving up your independence, it's about protecting it. Start with the basics. Look around your home. What small risks are hiding in plain sight? A loose rug, dim lighting, a step that's just a little too high? These things might seem harmless until they aren't. Make simple, smart changes. Secure loose rugs or get rid of them entirely. Install grab bars in the bathroom where most falls happen. Use night lights in hallways to make sure you can always see where you're going. And if you ever feel even slightly unsteady, use a cane or walker. Not as a sign of weakness, but as a tool for strength. Strengthen your body too. It's not just clutter that leads to falls, it's weak muscles, slower reflexes. A few minutes a day of balance exercises, standing on one foot, practicing heel-to-toe walking can make all the difference. And here's the most important step, never assume you'll be able to call for help. Always keep your phone within reach, especially at night. Consider a medical alert system that connects you to help at the push of a button or even detects a fall automatically. Because in an emergency, seconds matter. Tom never thought he'd fall. But if he could go back, he'd have done one thing differently, prepared before it happened. Because staying independent isn't about avoiding falls, it's about making sure they don't take away your freedom. So here's your challenge, take 5 minutes today to check your home. Secure one rug. Add one light. Make one change. Because one small action today could save your independence tomorrow. And while falls are a major risk, they aren't the only one. There's another danger that sneaks into homes. Not with a misstep, but with a phone call. A voice on the other end of the line pretending to help, but really trying to steal everything you've worked for. Let's talk about the growing threat of financial scams. Danger number 3, the hidden threat of financial scams. The phone rings. Mrs. Thompson, this is Officer Reynolds from the Social Security Administration. We have a serious issue. Someone is using your identity to commit fraud. We need to verify your Social Security number immediately or your benefits will be suspended. Your heart races. Fraud? Losing benefits? That could mean no check next month, no way to pay bills. The voice on the phone is firm, serious. You feel pressured. You hesitate for just a second. Then, in that moment of fear, you give them the information they ask for. And just like that, your identity is stolen. Scammers don't just take your money, they take your trust, your security, and sometimes your entire savings. Every year, seniors lose over $3 billion to scams. Some lose a few $100s. Others lose everything. And most never speak about it. Too embarrassed, too ashamed, too afraid that no one will believe them. But listen to me. Being scammed is not a sign of foolishness. It is a sign that you are human. Scammers don't target dumb people, they target good, trusting people. People like you. That's exactly what happened to Betty, 79. One evening, she got a phone call from someone claiming to be her grandson. "Grandma, I need help. I got arrested and I need $2,000 for bail. Please don't tell Mom. I'm so embarrassed. Just send the money now, and I promise I'll explain later." Her hands trembled as she pulled out her checkbook. $2,000. Gone. And then later that night, she called her grandson. "Grandma, what are you talking about? I was home all day." The money was gone. The scammer had vanished. And Betty was left not just financially devastated, but emotionally broken. Because that's the thing about scams. They don't just steal your money. They steal your confidence, your sense of safety, your belief that you can trust the people around you. But here's the good news. You can fight back. You can protect yourself. Rule number 1, if someone calls you demanding money, stop. Hang up. Scammers want you to act fast. If it's urgent, if it's emotional, if they are pushing you to send money right away, it's a scam. Rule number 2, never trust a caller or emailer who asks for personal information. Social Security, Medicare, banks, none of them will ever call and ask for your private details over the phone. If someone does, hang up and call the organization directly using a trusted number. Rule number 3, verify before you act. If someone claims to be a relative in trouble, don't send money immediately. Call another family member first. Scammers rely on panic. Slow down, think, confirm. Rule number 4, never pay with gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency. No real government agency, bank, or business will ask you to pay this way. If they do, it's a scam. Period. Rule number 5, talk about scams. Scammers want you to feel too embarrassed to report it. But the more we talk, the fewer people they can trick. If you get a suspicious call, tell someone you trust. It's easy to think, this will never happen to me. But scammers are getting smarter every day, and the best way to fight back is with knowledge, awareness, and a plan. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you get an unexpected call, pause. Hang up. Verify before acting. Because the best way to keep your money safe is to remember this. If it's urgent, emotional, or too good to be true, it's probably a scam. And while scams can wipe out savings, there's another danger that can take everything. Your health, your independence, even your life. What happens when a medical emergency strikes and no one is there to help? Let's talk about it next. Danger number 4, medical emergencies. What happens when no one is there to help? It starts with a strange feeling, a little dizziness, a quick moment of weakness. You reach for something to steady yourself, but then your body betrays you. Your vision blurs. Your legs give out. You collapse. You try to call for help, but your voice barely comes out. Your phone is just a few feet away, but it may as well be miles. No one is around. No one knows. How long will you wait? An hour? A day? Will help come at all? This is the terrifying reality for too many older adults. A medical emergency is dangerous for anyone. But when you live alone, it can be deadly. That's exactly what happened to John, 81. He was making coffee one morning when he suddenly felt lightheaded. His arm tingled, his vision darkened, and before he could react, he was on the floor. His phone? Out of reach. No one was expecting him that day. Hours passed before a neighbor noticed his mail piling up. By the time help arrived, the stroke had already taken its toll. The doctor told him if someone had found you sooner, your recovery would have been much easier. Seconds matter in an emergency. But too many people don't realize that until it's too late. Here's the good news. You don't have to live in fear. You can prepare today. First, always have a way to call for help. Keep a phone on you at all times. Not on the counter. Not across the room. On you. Even better, a medical alert system, one that lets you call for help at the push of a button. Some even detect falls automatically. Second, set up a check-in system. Who would notice if they didn't hear from you? Arrange for a friend, family member, or neighbor to check in daily. A simple text, a quick call, something to ensure that if you don't respond, someone follows up. Third, make sure first responders can help you fast. Keep a list of your medications, allergies, and emergency contacts somewhere obvious, like on the fridge or near the front door. If paramedics arrive, they won't have time to search for it. John never thought he needed a plan until the day he did. After his stroke, he made changes. He got a medical alert pendant. His daughter started calling him every morning. And now? He never has to wonder, what if it happens again? So ask yourself, if something happened to you right now, how long would it take before someone noticed? If you don't have an answer, it's time to make a plan. Because being prepared isn't just about safety, it's about survival. And while medical emergencies can take everything in an instant, there's another danger that steals independence slowly, one small struggle at a time. Let's talk about the hidden risk of daily struggles and loss of independence. Danger number 5, the slow loss of independence. It happens so slowly you don't even notice. One day, carrying the laundry basket makes you pause to catch your breath. You push through it. A week later, you're too tired to cook dinner, so you skip it. Just this once, you tell yourself. Then, little by little, things start slipping. Grocery shopping feels overwhelming. Your mail piles up because getting to the mailbox is a hassle. You sit down for a moment to rest and realize you've been sitting there for hours. And then one day it hits you. The life you once managed so easily doesn't feel easy anymore. This is how independence fades. Not in one dramatic moment, but in a series of small struggles that build over time. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already deep in it. That's what happened to Linda, 78. She had always been independent. She ran her home, cooked every meal, and never asked for help. But things started changing. Cooking became exhausting, so she started skipping meals. The house wasn't as clean as it used to be, but vacuuming hurt her back. She told herself she was fine. Until the morning she opened her fridge and saw almost nothing inside. She had been living on toast and coffee for 3 days. At that moment, fear hit her like a wave. She wasn't just behind on groceries, she was losing control of her life. And that's the real danger. Losing independence isn't just about struggling. It's about struggling in silence, afraid to ask for help. But here's the truth. You don't have to lose your independence to keep it. Step number 1, make daily tasks easier before they become impossible. If cooking is tiring, use meal delivery services. If grocery shopping feels overwhelming, get them delivered to your door. Step number 2, ask for small help now so you don't need big help later. A neighbor grabbing your mail. A friend setting up automatic bill payments. A family member helping with cleaning. Small help now means staying independent longer. Step number 3, adapt your home to work for you. Rearrange essentials to be within reach. Install grab bars, better lighting, and make your space safer before you need it. Step number 4, don't let isolation make things worse. When going out feels like too much effort, people withdraw and that speeds up decline. Make plans. Keep moving. Stay engaged. Linda finally told her daughter what was happening. Together, they made small changes: grocery delivery, light housekeeping help, and a caregiver stopping by twice a week. And suddenly, life wasn't so overwhelming anymore. Because independence doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means making smart changes so you can keep living on your own terms. So let me ask you this. Is there something in your daily life that feels harder than it used to? Are you pushing through struggles that could be made easier? Take action today. Order groceries online. Set up a bill reminder. Ask for help with one thing. Because independence isn't about refusing help, it's about knowing when to make the right choices so you can keep it longer. Now, we've talked about 5 of the biggest dangers of living alone. But the truth is, knowing these risks isn't enough. You need a plan. Let's bring everything together and talk about how you can stay safe, stay independent, and live on your terms. We've covered 5 hidden dangers of living alone: isolation, falls, scams, medical emergencies, and the slow loss of independence. Each one can take away your freedom, not all at once, but little by little, until one day the life you once managed so easily feels out of reach. But here's the truth: you have the power to protect yourself. Independence isn't about doing everything alone, it's about making the right choices now so you can keep living on your terms. Small steps today can make all the difference. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend, securing your home, setting up a daily check-in, or learning how to spot a scam. You don't have to do everything at once. But taking action now means staying in control of your future. At Elderly Wisdom Story, we believe knowledge is power. The more you know, the safer and stronger you can be. So if this message resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share. Not just for yourself, but for someone who may need this information just as much as you do. Your independence is worth protecting. Your safety is worth prioritizing. Your future is worth planning for. The strongest people are not the ones who never ask for help, but the ones who prepare, adapt, and make smart choices so they can continue living life the way they choose. Thank you for being part of this community. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay in control of your future. And if you're ready for more ways to protect your independence, watch this next video. We'll go even.